Good evening. I welcome everyone to the WCBinar 6. Today, we will hear Amit Hegade on following patterns to find missing biogeographical path mystery, an amphibian case study from Peninsular India. He is a research scholar at Breeding Behavior and Bioacoustics Lab, Department of Zoology, Karnataka University. So, let us hear a young scientist and experience the goodness of Western Ghats. Over to you, Amit. All the very best. You have to unmute.
Okay. Thank you, Kritika, for wonderful introduction. I'll just share the screen. Okay. Okay. Following the patterns to find a missing biogeographical path mystery, an amphibian case study from Peninsular India. Tomorrow is August 15th, and in India we will be celebrating Independence Day. Today morning, a small kid came and asked me a question. Tata, how you define India, and when did India origin has taken place? It's a pretty difficult question. I'll start a very long story in short. This story starts several million years ago, when there was a Gondwana land and rest of the earth, there was just sea. And Gondwana land separated in, you can take it as a Pangaea, and Pangaea separated into two parts, Gondwana land and Laurasia. In Gondwana land, it was having African, South America, and Antarctica, Australia, India, Sri Lanka, and Madagascar too. And after some time, slowly, India started drifting from Gondwana land, taking the multiple African elements. Okay. Approximately for 50 million years, India was an island. And there were a lot of things going on. And the floral and faunal changes were evolving. From there, it collided with the Eurasian plate, or to the Laurasian plate. And there were some elements, for example, Southeast Asian elements came to India. African elements from India went to the Southeast Asia. We can call India as a biotic ferry or a ship, where India was exchanging with the Eurasian part. And after colliding hardly to the Eurasian plate, Himalayas arising. And still, we can see the Himalayas rising till today. Southeast Asian elements, Southern Chinese elements, Eurasian elements, African elements. And this theory was called as continental drift theory. And in the 1912, Alfred Wegener, after seeing multiple flora and fauna, he stated this theory. And he wrote a book called Origin of Continent and Oceans in 1915. It took almost 50 years to get a scientific evidence, right? And this is one of it. This frog is called Ignosed Frog. Its closest relative lies in the Seychelles Island. belonging to a family called Zooglasidae. Now we have another description from this family. This family is called as Nasica Batrachidae, where Nasica means nose, Batrachidae means usually frog. Okay, so this frog was earlier known to the tribals of that area, and later we know from science. Uniqueness of this frog is they are fossorial. Fossorial means they spend or live most of their time inside the soil or mud. When there is a heavy rain with thunder, they'll come outside. Male frogs will usually croak. They'll breed and they lay their egg. They'll disappear. Okay. So India, it's a very diverse place, not just of culture, language, or peoples. Again, wonderful biogeographical places. India has 4 biodiversity hotspots: Western Ghats, other than that, Eastern Himalayas, Indo-Burma region. In India, we popularly call it as Northeast region, and Sunda land, which is some part of which it comes in the Andaman and Nicobar regions. Okay. Other than that, it has east-flowing, west-flowing rivers, which originate from the Western Ghats. And in northern part of India, there are a lot of rivers which originate from Himalayas. Other than that, we have Eastern Ghats, which are older than the Himalayas. Vindhyas, Satpuras, Aravalis. Still, India looks like an island, right? One side, there is a high Himalayas, the other side, desert, and other parts were blocked by the sea. Within a long story, a short story starts. I'm lucky to be born and brought up from this wonderful place in the central Western Ghat. And during my bachelor's, I started my career as a field biologist, which later became passion profession, all those stuff. Okay. In 2004, he sees maybe not an interesting frog. He wanted to know which species it belongs. It belongs to which family? Which family? So this is one of the main reasons which I enrolled for my PhD, and it kind of took me to a wonderful roller coaster journey. Like an old taxonomist, I collected this frog, photographed it, and tried to classify based on the characters morphologically, and I measured it. When I measured it, I divided it by the full length, full body length, or snout vent length, we call in a specific science language, or you can take it as I did a body ratio and plotted in a principal component analysis graph with the Western Ghats species. It was not matching with any of the species, like Minervaria goenchi, which was described from Goa region, Minervaria mysorensis, which was described from Jog region, and it was not matching even with the Minervaria kalinga from Eastern Ghats. Traditional taxonomists or old taxonomists would have described this as a new species. Then, with the integrated taxonomic approach, I took a DNA and I plotted it. I came to know that this was Minervaria kalinga, which was described from higher mountains or higher elevation ranges in the Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. Why do they look so different? I mean, every species have their body ratio. When we plot it on the graph, they should lie very close to each other at least. But it was not matching. So they are morphologically different, but genetically similar. See, if we just compare from the image, the Western Ghats population, Minervaria kalinga, looks huge, right? And it even looks like a different species. They were showing a very unique phenomena called morphological phenotypic plasticity, ability of an organism to show drastic morphological variation in response to natural environmental variation or stimuli. Okay, we'll come back to the science. We'll move a bit away from this story. Like a taxonomist, we classify biodiversity at three different levels. Ecosystem diversity, classifying in a large landmass, different ecosystem, different habitats. Within that, we even classify species diversity. But so far, majority of the taxonomists stopped here, and conservation efforts too. Within this comes the genetic diversity. If I want to simplify the genetic diversity, it's nothing but within the species diversity. How the Maharashtra mango is different from the Karnataka variety, how the dog breed from Karnataka differs from Gujarat, how the Gujarat breed of cow is different from Tamil Nadu one. Something like that. I hope you got my point. People have described it as subspecies, varieties, breeds. This data we published in the Zoo Taxa, we got to know that it was a first sighting in the Western Ghats, Minervaria kalinga. But the next question is, how come a frog has traveled a dry Deccan region in the middle from Eastern Ghat to Western Ghat? Not just a small distance, approximately of 1,116 kilometers. And these are the other species belonging to this genus. Previously, they were called as Fejervaria. Now, after the recent taxonomic changes, we call it as a Minervaria. Comparing with the other distribution records and the recent papers, now we know that they are present in the Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and in Western Ghats, they were present in the Central Western Ghats and Northern Western Ghats. Western Ghats, again, we classify after the Western Ghats, we call it as Northern Western Ghats, starting from Goa, some part of Karnataka, and above Maharashtra till Gujarat. And below from that to Karnataka and till Kerala Palghat region, we call it as Central Western Ghats. Below that, we call it as Southern Western Ghats. It's based on the temperature, humidity, rainfall gradients. As you go further up, the rainfall is comparatively less. As you come further down, the rainfall is more and it's more humid. So now we know that Minervaria kalinga is found in Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats, but we don't know the connection. Whether it is a continuous distribution or disjunct or discontinuous distribution, right? Along with that, when we did the secondary sources or the literatures, we got to know there are some other amphibians which are telling the same stories. This frog is called Indosilvirana shrini, commonly called as Shrini's golden-backed frog, which was found in the Southern Western Ghats, a very small range. Now it is found in the Eastern Ghats again, in the Kolli Hills. Again, whenever we talk of amphibians, frogs, they come into picture. This is another order called Gymnoophiona, or popularly we call this as Sicilians or naked serpents. These are very secretive creatures, limbless. They are usually so far seen under leaf litter, soils, stones. And these are the vertebrates with the tentacles. They use the tentacles for sensing and communication. Another unique thing of this genus is their eye is inside the skull. I mean, so far we know that their eyes may be rudimentary. They are very secretive and very less studied. Some of the Sicilians, we just know the names. Apart from that, we don't know anything. This genus Sicilian, which was earlier described from the Eastern Ghats and thought to be endemic to Eastern Ghats, now found in the Western Ghats, or there were other few species in the Western Ghats which were belonging to the same genus. When we compare or when we plot a phylogenetic tree, both come under the same, they follow sister clade. In that case, whether the Eastern Ghats species or Eastern Ghats genus were dispersed from Eastern Ghats to Western Ghats, is that the way how they dispersed? How the speciation took place? We don't know yet. This is another very common Sicilian, popularly called as Bombay Sicilian. Earlier, this genus was called Ichthyophis. Now it is called urotiphylus, which was again thought to be endemic to Western Ghat, found in the middle of the city Chennai in the Eastern Ghats. How they have crossed the dry Deccan region then? Following all very unique patterns, just to guess whether the southern tip acts as a connecting corridor from Eastern Ghat to Western Ghat, or is it the Satpuras or the Vindhyas? Or is there any new path, or all above? What if the Eastern Ghats, which was earlier thought as scrublands, is a connecting bridge between two biodiversity hotspots? One is Indo-Burma region and the Western Ghats. Or is the southern India or the peninsular India itself is a large biogeographical area? Before knowing this, we are losing forest patch day by day. Critical endangered ecosystems are slowly vanishing. Climate change is acting like never before. Intensified acidification events are going on, making a soil desert slowly. Is it a natural event, or we humans are boosting it? River interlinking, dam projects, mining in the Eastern Ghats, it may be bauxite. In the Western Ghats, it may be manganese, or quarry mining is one of the severe issues which our Mother Earth or Indian subcontinent is facing. It is not just messing with the geography, landscape, it is messing with the microhabitat, basically everything at the cost of biodiversity. Habitat fragmentation is again a severe issue. Agriculture with the modern pesticides, weedicide, fungicides. Amphibians, they are thought as a good index for environment monitoring because of their complex life cycle and sensitive skin. Instead of mass population decrease, there is something else is going on, deformities, etc. Paddy, which acts as a artificial wetland, it also attracts insects, which we commonly called as pests. And these frogs are efficient in feeding them. Now in India, for alone paddy field, there are more than 140 different types of pesticides are used. And per annum, it is more than 40,000 tons. We are not just polluting the soil, water or streams, rivers. Even we are polluting the groundwater table. Some pesticides even sprayed for the paddy. We are drying up and we are using that as a fodder for the cows. At the end, same milk we use, same food which comes to our plate. There is a unique phenomena going on, which is called as pesticide treadmill. We are spending a lot on pesticides, weedicides, fungicides, but we are getting yield comparatively less. Invasive species are changing everything. For example, if I want to take the plants, invasive species are not just coming, they are suppressing the native species and they are changing even the soil microbiome biota. My district, for example, the place where I stay, has seen a flood, worse flood like never before. After all these things, this frog is looking at us. Is it the Eastern Ghats, where the Minoraria Kalinga came from there to Western Ghats, or the vice versa? Look at this innocent eyes. They are looking at us with a bleak future. They are looking right into our shoulders. They're going to disturb our dreams unless we do the right thing. Thank you. And these were a group of people who helped me. My guide, Girish Kadadevaru, and advisor, KP Dinesh, and all the lab mates. I want to thank Karnataka University, Zoological Survey of India, and Forest Department for the permissions. And there were several other organizations which have helped me. I'm thankful to a lot of people, and thanks to WCB Lab for organizing this talk.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amit. It was an amazing session.
Thank you.
So yes, now over to the